here first thing in the morning, and I'm going to bring you a really good DIY video today. I got my table out here. I've got some cut sections of some quality shade cloth. I got all of my grommets and tools that I need. Got some rope. Got a couple of DIY bungees that I made. So I'm going to get to that in a moment. But yesterday I was out here and I was fabricating some more of my shade cloth framing. And so this is where we left off at yesterday. I went ahead and did my shade cloth framing over here down to that side of the garden, which extends all the way down to that side of the garden. And the same thing on this side. I got my frame over here going to that side, and then it extends all the way down to the end of the garden. And this here is my trellis walkway. As you can see, by the middle of the growing season, all these trellises, there's 6 going back, because there's 6 rows and 12 beds. They're all going to have vining crops on them. And then of course I keep my walkways clear. But what I needed to do this year was build some new, or fabricate some new shade cloth framing. And I did a DIY project. I got a video below. Basically these are fence posts for putting in gates. These are corner caps, and then these here are top rails to fencing. And I did that going all the way down. Now the unique way that I installed these was right up here. I went ahead and cut some pipe and slipped it over my T-post. I put an extension, PVC extension in the middle so I could get the height I want. And I put in a PVC T where the pipe goes through all the way down to the end. And these are my supports. So that way I didn't have to put any new supports throughout the garden. They're held up by the existing T-post. So as it turns out, it's working really good for my shade cloth. This is my shade cloth. So what I need to do today is, I have 12 beds. So I need to go ahead and install the cut pieces that I have from my PVC framing. And I have to put them on. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I don't have enough cut right now, but I have enough cut to go ahead and start my DIY project. And basically, I want to get these going because right over here, I have sugar pods coming in. And these sugar pods are a fall crop or winter crop. I usually do them in the spring too, but I only got about 2 months of them and then they die off because of the heat and the humidity. So it's a winter crop. However, here in Florida, when you plant in the fall, it's still in the 90s. And when you're in the sun, it's even hotter than that, baking on the plant. So really, to have shade cloth is perfect for a fall crop. And it's even better for a spring crop and a summer crop. Just all around shade cloth, I'm a believer in it. 30% shade cloth are what the professional nurseries and growers use, and that's what I use. Now, I didn't just go get any shade cloth. I went to a growing nursery supply and I picked up the commercial shade cloth that people are using. You know, that greenhouses and nurseries are using. This shade cloth here is extremely strong. You're not going to pull it, stretch it, or rip it. It's strong. It's made to last for years. Now, if you shop on Amazon and stuff like that, that's fine, but this is something to take note of. If you purchase, let's just say 100 foot on Amazon, they fold it up square and they ship it to you. Well, this stuff here comes in 300 foot rolls. And when I picked up that roll, it was sticking out the back of my pickup bed, and I had to tie it down. And when you lift it up to put it on your shoulder, it is super heavy. So not only is it too big for the UPS truck, it might even be over the weight limit or border to the weight limit. You know, I'm not sure. But one thing's for sure, it's not the little package type you get on Amazon or eBay. Those type you could actually stretch and rip. It's sort of like, you ever put a green tarp on a boat or something like that? The sun deteriorates it and you could just rip it. That's what those are made out of, sort of like that. This type of material here is the ultimate material. You only get these at greenhouse nursery supplies, where the greenhouse nurseries buy from the supply house. That's how you get those. Don't mistake the two. So I would always recommend get the good stuff. All right, so with that said, let me go ahead and set up my table here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start and show you how I go ahead and put the grommets on and then hang them. So let's get with it. Okay, so I'm going to start right here. I brought my table out so I can stretch out the material and show you how it goes. And I'm going to start out in the front of the garden. Once that sun comes up, I may have to move to the back because the sun's going to be right in the camera, and I'll switch it around. But I'm going to start out like this. So of course, first thing you want to do is you want to get shade cloth and you want to cut it to size. Go measure and cut it to size. Now this was already installed in my garden last year using PVC pipe. Down below I got the video on the framing for that. Quick and easy. I think you'll love that. This is getting more professional. Now this came in the 300 foot roll. I got a video on when I rolled it out in front of my, or on my slab of my carport, and then I cut it using the concrete line, so I got a straight cut, and I held them down with blocks and stuff like that. Well, once I use up what I got right here, we're gonna go over there and I'm gonna stretch it on out and cut some more and then come back over here and continue. But once you get it cut, you'll notice that right over here is a red line. The red line is the length of the spool that you unroll. And the side that you cut does not have a red line. So that's important when you go ahead and you're gonna go ahead and put grommets in there. So I'm taking the red line right now and I'm stretching it out like this because I'm gonna put grommets in there. Now, okay, so the grommets come in two parts. Let me move over here. The grommets come on a top and bottom. Well, you can see this one here has got a flange and this one don't. This sets in there, and then when you squeeze it, it crimps, and these two parts sandwich the shade cloth together, which holds the grommet on. So let me show you how it works. You'll notice that a lot of places like eBay and all that, they sell the little die tap. You lay this flat on wood, put the top on, and you pound it with the hammer. Well, they never really get sealed proper. They bend sideways and stuff. And then when your material pulls, it sort of doesn't hold right. So what I recommend is getting yourself a tool like this. This is a grommet tool. Now, this tool is magnetized. When you put this in there, it's going to hold up. And when you put this on the bottom, it's going to hold down. See? It holds in there. Now, let me go back over here. Or, yeah, I'll do this one close and then I got to get the others. So what you do is you just take this and you put it over like the material like that. And you squeeze just like that. And when you release it, you got a grommet in there, nice and secure. So let me get over here. So I did this end. Now I'm going to do this one here. Okay, so I'm going to put the top on. And I'm going to put the bottom on like that. Making sure they're facing the right way. So, then I'm just going to take this. I'm going to put this in here and squeeze. Like that. And the grommet's on there. So now I have two on this side. I'm going to have to do the other side, but there's two here. So I hold those on my fingers like that. And I try to get this nice and even. So you can kind of, if it's too long, you just grab it like this. You know it's even. And then you grab it again right here. And right here is the middle. So I want to put a grommet there. So I'm going to put a grommet on there, the top half, and I'm going to put this other part on the bottom there. Okay, so I know right here is the center, so I'm going to go ahead and take this and put it in there, put it on there nice and tight. So now I have one in the center. Okay, I'm going to put another upper and another lower. Oh, by the way, you could buy the uppers and the lowers. The lowers come in a bigger bag because it's more bulky, and then the lowers. So when you go to buy them, make sure it says upper and lowers. They try to trick you and they'll just send you the uppers without the lowers or vice versa. But anyway, it's a match package, so you get a couple hundred of each, or 100 of each, or 50 of each, whatever you need. Now, since I have the end and I have the middle, what I do now, it's real easy. You just take this, match it up to the middle, pull, and when you pull it, you know this is spaced out evenly. So just take another one. Crimp it on right there. Now I'm going to take another grommet. The top. And I'm going to take a bottom. I'm going to put it in there. The magnet holds it on. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to match these two up right here. And I'm going to pull this out right here. So I know that's the center. So they're spaced out evenly. And I'm just going to crimp it on. Okay, so as you can see, I've done 1, 2, 3, and now I'm working on this side right here. So I could just take this, space it out, Put my grommet on. That's the top. Gonna put the bottom on. Double check that's spaced out. And I crimped it. Now same thing over here. Same thing, got this on that, I stretch it out. Now I got the center right there. Put the top on. Put the bottom on. Make sure they're on there right. Take this right where you want it. Put it on in, crimp it. Okay, so you can just take this one right now and do the same thing. Bear with me, I'm going to show you something right here. Okay. I put that on. And when you do it, leave about an inch right here, a half inch or an inch. That way it's got some material there. Okay, so right here, I'm going to do it again. Stretch that out, lay it down, put the top on, put the bottom on, okay. So now if I take this and take this side and stretch it all the way on out, that's the center. When I fold it, if I pull it, you can kind of see that they're all spaced out evenly. Now if you want, you can fold it again and you can put as many as you want in there. So the reason why it's important to fold it like that, because now I have to flip this over and I have to do this whole other side. You have to do all four sides, but I'm going to start with the corners and I'm going to do it the same way. So from left to right, left to right, left to right, when you're putting the bungees in, they pull evenly. It's not like one here and one here and one there. They're even. And that makes you pull better. And then over here, you do the same thing. So with that said, let me do this side and let me do the corners and I'll be back with you. Okay, so I did both of the red sides with the stripe. That's the long roll side. Now I'm going to do the side that I cut. Okay, so I got the red sides done. and I have the other side done. And as you can see, they all match up. Now I gotta do the other side before I go put it on. Okay. Okay, so I just finished this side. So now you can see they're even, and I did all 4 sides. So now what I'm gonna do, let me turn this camera. Okay, so you know I'm doing the DIY bungee cords. I'll put a link below so you can see how I made my DIY bungee cords out of shock cord bungee cord. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and use some string just to go ahead and tie these up until I finish making a couple hundred of these. So what I'm trying to do is I'm going to take what I just made and I'm going to hang it up to see if it fits. Maybe it's a little too short. Maybe it's a little too long. We'll find out. Okay. So with this red line being the length of it, I'm going to take it and start it on this side. So I'm just going to put this through here like that. Okay, just temporarily, I put that side up. So you could pre-cut these too. Now I'm going to put this side up and see where it goes to. For the ends I might have to go a little wider. I don't know. Okay, as it turned out, it fit perfect, just like the middle ones. The end one, I measured correctly and it fits perfect. Whew. Boy, I'm glad I measured correctly. You never know when you do DIY. It could have been a couple inches too long or too short. Or longer, a foot longer. So let me put another end on. Okay, one more end to go. Okay, let me put that corner on and see where we're at. Okay, so there it is. I got all 4 corners done. It looks good. It's even going to fit better when I use the DIY bungee cords because they stretch. But let's see what it looks like. Okay, so this is it right here. I've got it looped right there. We'll go down to the end over here. I have it stretched over here. Remember, I'm still going to have to stretch these. But let's go over on this side. Now this is the corner that I fabricated yesterday. It's stretched across and it's stretched across that way. So all I got to do now is come over and keep attaching and stretching it out. Now these were out in the weather in the summer last year, so they're not freshly cut. So when I pull it and the sun hits it, I'll readjust it. That's why those bungees are good. It'll get a better fit. So for now, let me go ahead and tie the rest up and see what it looks like. Okay, so for the sake of this video, I put in a couple bungees that I had, and then all the way around I put the string just to put it up, to size it up and show you how it's going to look. Now those strings, once I'm done with the bungees, I got to make a bunch more. I'm going to come out here and put those in and take the strings out. But for right now, this is what it looks like. Let's go take a look. Okay, as you notice, bam, first thing in the morning, I only had a chance to put grommets in one piece and that sun is out. So after I'm done showing you this, I'm gonna put my wagon on the porch and sit there in the shade and do all this. I'm not gonna stand out here in the sun all day and do it. Work smarter, not harder. So anyways, I went ahead and put it up over this and went down to that end, all the way around to there. Now this side here is the side that goes from bed to bed to bed all the way back. I put this here temporary, but once I do that side, I'm gonna go ahead and tie this grommet to the other one that's over here, so it's gonna be up there and it's gonna be straight. But for now, I'm sizing it up and I want to see what it's gonna look like, so that's there temporary. Now coming down to this side, I went along the whole pipe, as you can see, down over there. Let's go around this. I'm working around my plants right now. So over here, this is the framing I put up yesterday. I tied the shade cloth to it, and I tied it to the front. And if you look down here, you can see the sun right over there on the chips, and then boom, shade. So let's just see how much shade. It would be better at noon than it is first thing in the morning, but hey, this is what it looks like right now. Let me come right over here and you'll see here, you see me? I'm getting blinded. This is the sun. There's no shade cloth. So this sun will be baking on the plants just like that. So now let me back up and come over here to where there's some shade cloth. Okay, now look. I'm in here. I could look straight up at the sun basically. It still gets me a little bit, but this is 30% shade. You don't want to go 40, you don't want to go 50, you don't want to go 75%. It could shade it out too much. 30% is the perfect shade for growing vegetables. Now for ferns and stuff, you might go heavier, but for vegetables, 30%. And look, right in here on my beds, remember I showed you this earlier? Right here's a sugar pod, and it likes cooler weather, and it don't like direct sun. So the shade cloth right up here is putting a shadow down on that. Over here, I don't have shade cloth. I have that one, so we're getting a little bit of a shadow here, but there's no shade cloth. I got shade cloth over here. Okay, so down here, I have some sugar pods coming in, and I have shade cloth over it right there. Now coming over to this space, there's no shade cloth. I have to put grommets in another piece and put it here. But since I just fabricated the ends on this, I wanted to put it over here first, and then over there, and then I got one there. I'm gonna put it there, and I'm gonna work my way all the way down, stagger them, and go all the way on back. I'm gonna try to get that done this weekend, because then I gotta come in here, and I have to put those chip piles down in the walkways and straighten up my beds, because I'm getting ready to plant my full garden for my fall crop, and I want it shaded before I do so, because then I'll be working in 30% shade. Now when I stand here, it feels cooler than if I stand here. This is direct sunlight, boom. When I go in the shade, I can feel the difference in temperature. So I'm gonna be happy working under that. Okay, so right up here is where I cut the pipe off. And right over there is where I cut the pipe off. Right over here is where I cut the pipe off, and right over there is where I cut the pipe off. So I got to go ahead and put end caps on this, and another pipe, and then another pipe going down into the ground on this side. But this is going to be the last place I'm going to do. First, I'm going to finish all those other beds. Plus, I have to go to the store and pick up some more piping. So you know how that goes. So anyway, let's go ahead and go down here. We're back over here to my finish section. I think it came out good. Now, this section right here, my arches, I got 6 arches, trellis arches going right up the walkway you walk under, and they usually have some really good growth going all the way around them. They get full sun. The shade is only to the left and to the right of them, and the center is all shade. So anyways, this right here is done. Now I gotta go ahead and do the shade cloth over there. Okay, so basically most of the hard part's over. Now it's time consuming and repetitious. So let me go ahead and get my other shade cloth, all grommets in it. I gotta cut me some other sections and add more to here. So I'll add on to this video as I do that. Okay, so I put grommets in another one. This is going to go in between that one, and then I'm going to connect the sides up just to see how that works out. I'm probably going to have to put some more grommets in those because I didn't put them in yet, but I could do those while they're up. That's why I got the hand one instead of the pound one. So with that said, let me go ahead and get this going. Okay, so I have that up. It looks good. Now I have to do the ends. Let me do that end first because I got the grommets in it. This side here, I'm going to have to use the tool because on the first prototype, I didn't put any. So let's get going. Okay, what I'm going to try is I'm going to take the string and I'm going to string it through and then tie the end. So let's see how that works out. Okay, that worked out pretty good, but I do think I'm going to want to put some more in between and then weave it. But for right now, for the prototype, I think that looks pretty good. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, so I went ahead and took that string and I weaved it in and out all the way around. I missed the grommet there, so I put that there and I went down to the end. So pretty much that connects this one to that one to make one screen. I think I'm going to go ahead and add some more grommets in between a little closer just because of the way that they're hooked up and connected. And that's what doing a prototype's all about. Now on this side I don't have any yet, but I'm going to do the same thing. But I have to put some grommets on this side and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, so one of the advantages of using this tool is that in the field you could go ahead and put this on and put this on like this and just add a grommet wherever you want. If you're using the type that you have to pound down with a hammer on a piece of wood, you could only do that on the ground, so you would have to take this apart, lay it on the ground just to do it and put it back up. But using one of these, you could just come on over like this. and add a grommet wherever you need one. Or if one pulls out, you could put it back further or to the side of it and just put in another. Okay, I'm done with these. Now let me get a string and twine it through. Okay, so I went ahead and finished. I did 2 prototypes. The one over there, I spaced them out evenly, but they were apart. On this one, I filled in the gaps so they're closer together, and then I weaved it like you do a shoelace. And I think it worked out so much better. So let's take a look at it. Okay, so I don't want to step on my seedlings, so I'm going over them. Okay, if you noticed, I put these grommets right here a lot closer. And then I was able to pull this string. Let me get back here. And you see how snug it looks going all the way down? Let me go around this way. So you can see right here going down the middle, you can see how nicely they butt up against each other. Now if I go over to this side, let me go around. Now over here, they were spaced out further apart. What I did over there is I put one in between. And so you see how this one here, they loop out like that? And then over here, how they're spaced together. So I feel that this way right here is the way to do it. You space them closer together and then weave a string all the way through it so you don't have a ton of bungee cords. The string will do it because it doesn't have to stretch that way. It just has to stretch from side by side. So by me doing this, the prototype on that side and the prototype on this side, I troubleshot it. And now when you decide you want to put up some shade cloth, you know firsthand to do it this way, and you don't have to waste your time like I did. You just know right off the bat. So that's what me doing these videos are all about. I do prototypes, I do DIY projects, and when something doesn't come out good, I tell you. When something comes out good, I show you. And here you go. This worked out perfect. So let's see what it looks like from out here now. Got to remember, first I start it like this. I put the string up and I just kind of looped it around the side there. And over here in the middle, there's nothing really holding it, so there's a big gap. Well, I knew once I got to this section that I was going to connect them together. But once again, I just wanted to see how they looked before I went ahead and went through all the trouble. So it's looking good. So now I know that I need to add grommets in between all these so they butt up a little bit closer. And my shade cloth comes all the way out to the end over here. And in the end, they loop like that. I think I'm even going to fill in more over here. And I'm going to weave the string instead of individual. I'm going to weave the string all the way around it right down at the end over here. I think that's going to be better. But once again, even that is going to be a prototype just to see. Maybe I might have to do individual grommets, or maybe do in the end solid rope will be good. I'm kind of leaning to individual grommets with individual bungee cords, but if I don't have to do that many more bungee cords, I'm just going to go ahead and use a string. Although I could take the bungee cord and wrap it around through all the loops just like a string and just hook it on both sides. There you go. I think that's what I'm going to try. So anyway, this is the end of the project for today. What I need to do is I need to go ahead and put more grommets in these over here, and then I got to go cut some more shade cloth. enough to do all these beds, and then I got to put grommets in those and then put those up. My work is never ending. So with that said, let me get to it and I'll be back with you. Okay, so I'm in the driveway and I took the roll and I rolled it out, and over there on the ground I went ahead and put some marks on the ground. I used tape so that way I know that every piece is going to have the proper measurement. So I held it down with some blocks and I made it to where the separation of the concrete on the ground right there, I don't know if you can see that right there, the separation of the concrete is my cut line. So it's straight all the way down. That's what the roll looks like, all the way down. So now I got to get my scissors out and give it a cut and just keep repeating that, and I'll have some even strips. So anyway, let me go get my scissors and I'll be back. I'm going to go ahead and cut those and roll them up and bring them over there to the garden. But I found that this is the easiest way. The hardest thing to do is measure, and the hardest thing to do, because this stretches, I'll show you later, when you pull one corner it flexes. So when you lay it out flat and you utilize that line, the concrete line, you could cut, put the scissor right in that line and you could cut and it would be even, because it's even down the end. Now if it does vary just a hair, I mean, come on, that don't matter. But pretty much in the factory they lay it down on tables and they have a clamp that goes on, then they cut it just like if you go to a fabric place, they lay it out on a table and they cut it, and that's not 100% straight neither. But this is going to be pretty much really accurate. So let me get to it. Okay, so pretty much I rolled it out. I have it held down on my marks, and I got my cut line. There you go, automatic roll it up. And there you have it. here's a section right here to go to the garden. I'm just going to go ahead and repeat this a few times, and then they'll all be cut to the size and dimensions that I need. It's 10 foot wide, and then I'll go over there and put them on the frame and the support system that I built. Okay, so being that I like the grommets closer on the sides over here, I'm going to go ahead and add more to it. It's really simple. You just want to make sure you get them in between correctly, so. Okay, I got this side complete. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, so as you can see, I went ahead and put the string through it, just like you would a shoelace, all the way. And it's looking really good. I kind of like the way the shade cloth looks. The only thing I don't know is I don't know how long these grommets are going to hold in, if they're going to stretch and pull out. If they do stretch and pull out, you could always put a square piece of material over it. I don't really know at the moment. I'm just hoping that they work out and hold up like this. So with that said, catch you later.